Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Today we're going to do a brief Nicholls versus LSU preview. I feel like everybody's got this game figured out. You don't need to know too much about this one. I'll give you my take on it. I'll give you a little pick for you. I feel like this one's pretty easy to predict. LSU's going to win, hopefully without an upset. I'll give you one little look at the top 3 games of the week. We got a little bit of an injury report. Sorry about the show getting delayed. Had a little bit of work to do with the women's basketball team. Did a few photo shoots. Took a little longer. We got some weather issues, but we made it through the rain, through the storm. Here we are. Sometime next week, we're going to get our guy John Eads from WAAB Channel 9. He's going to phone in. We were trying to do it today. Just couldn't make it work with the time. But that will be here in the near future. Got our guy G Sports going to come on tomorrow. And we'll talk a little, college football. We'll talk a little Nicholls, LSU. We'll talk a little college football in general. Michigan and Texas. We're going to pick his brain, old Michigan fanatic, on how his boys are going to do versus the Big Orange this weekend. But real quick, just what I want to see improved from LSU in this Nicholls game. First things first, you got to run that ball better than you did versus USC. Everybody thought that, LSU's run game was going to be one of the best in the country. Everybody thought that LSU's offensive line was the best in the country. And quite frankly, I don't fault people for saying that. I don't fault people for thinking it. I thought it myself. You watched them play on Sunday, though, and you're scratching your head. Where is it? Where'd they go? Who's the number one offensive lineman? Who's the, deep running back from? Where's it at? We didn't see it. I really hope that they turn over a new leaf and they're able to make a bigger impact, be more physical. They're obviously going to be the bigger team, the more physical team, the more talented team, quite frankly, this week. But they will have some hiccups. They're going to be without Garrett Dellinger, Chris Hilton, probably Kyle Parker. You're going to be missing some pieces for sure for the first half. Jordan Gilbert, he's kind of battling a little injury, so he might not even hop in. Really, what you're going to get to see is the next men up, get their reps, get greased, get, ready for that big, tough stretch in the middle of the season. One of the bigger guys that you probably are going to look to for improvement is Shelton Sampson. Coach Kelly kind of called him out in a good way. Not in a bad way, but just put him in the fire saying, hey, we're going to need a lot from you this week. This is going to be the week where we're going to call your number, call your name, and you get that opportunity to prove to us that, we're going to throw you out here with this wide receiver room, that we're going to give you the targets, that we're going to put you in this situation. And then lastly, another improvement that I need to see is creativity on offense, because good Lord, there's no way that Kyron Lacey doesn't get active this game. I mean, we can just beat the dead horse as much as we can that he didn't get, a touch in the second half, and that they tried to be too conservative. They took the air out the ball. Quite simply, this doesn't have to happen again. You can be creative. You got a lot of weapons. You got a lot of pieces to get active. I think that they're going to be able to do it. Vegas has the spread at 48, I believe. It opened at 51. Stay far away from that, guys. Stay far, far, far away from that. My best advice for you, if you're betting on this LSU Nicholls game, first things first, just don't. I mean, it's such a big, tall task. The money line is going to be outrageous. You can't even sniff it. It's not even worth it at all. I mean, you could put your damn house on it, probably make $20, enough to buy a Big Mac and a large fry at McDonald's. The spread is just asking for trouble. It can really go either way. I really don't know how to pick it. The only value pick that I can give you would be the total. The total's at 58.5. If Vegas is saying the spread's 48, that gives Nicholls about a 10-point cushion. When the younger cats get in, when the defense is really on that third string and they're probably at the end of the game letting the freshmen get in, that's probably when, a point or 2 or 6 or 10 could get scored by Nicholls. So I'll lean on the air of 58.5 total over, just because LSU might be able to put about 50 of them up themselves. And now we only need Nicholls to, like I said, get about 2 possessions. Hopefully they can do it. That's really your best look. Anything else you're reaching, anything else is just, it's not necessary. It's going to be rough. The running back room, we'll give you an update on that. Obviously, John Emery Jr. is not going to be with us. They flopped Juwan Johnson from backup star, from a DB to a running back. He played running back in high school. He broke a lot of rushing records. He's going to change from number 24 to number 8. Don't know if he's sticking with the Kobe tradition, but I believe Trenton Holiday wore that number. That turned out pretty good. One of the more speedy guys LSU has ever had on their team way back when. Shout out if you can remember Trenton Holiday. But, Juwan Johnson's going to be in an interesting situation. I don't think they're going to look toward him much. I don't think that he's going to be a big piece. He's really just there for, reassurance of that depth, because now Caden Durham goes from that spot that Juwan's quite frankly in, just waiting, hoping his name's getting called, to now he's running back 3 and you're getting mixed in. We got Cole in the chat asking about Caden Durham and my thoughts on him. I feel like, he's one of those running backs, quite frankly, like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, where, yeah, he's smaller, but he makes up for that with the explosivity, with the power. He's got that big build. And if you use him in the right ways, I think he can be able to facilitate a little bit of what you lost in John Emery. Now, will he be an instant star? Will he be, someone that you can expect 4 to 5 yards per carry from? Probably not. He's a younger guy. Might take a little bit of time to get some grease on that wheel. You're kind of seeing Caleb Jackson take a little bit to get into his own. Probably going to take a little bit of the same amount of time, the same approach, the same result. But I think in the end, Caden Durham this is going to help him. He really wasn't going to see the field as much as he was now, of course. So by this time next year or even the year after that, he's going to be so many miles ahead of not only the people around him, but just where he would have been in this situation if it didn't happen. Just trying to make, positive out of a rough situation. It looks like Caden Durham is going to advance a lot quicker. And I mean, quite frankly, Caleb Jackson as well. You can say that for him too, because he was going to really be sharing that backup role with somebody, and now he's the main guy. Now he's the guy that's going to be able to really, make his mark on this room, so to speak. It's his room now. It's Josh Williams' room now. It'll be really interesting to see how they turn it around this week. Like I said, we needed a lot of improvement in that run game. I want to be able to have confidence that if you see Garrett Nussmeier hand it off to somebody, that it'll be at least a 5-yard carry, that they can definitely bite off over half the down and distance, that it's not going to be something that just shoots you in the foot and allows you to get beat, quite frankly. You're going to have to score some points. You're going to have to create some gains. And, with this latest injury update, it'll be one of the more focused areas on this team. Speaking of injuries and just position group depth, I got 3 positions here that LSU needs healthy all season long. That wouldn't fare as well as a running back position would. You had some depth. You had some guys. Losing a John Emery hurt soul. Made a tear come to your eye. But these positions, the quarterback position, let's start off with that. If Garrett Nussmeier goes down, I think the entire future of this team changes. You got A.J. Swan. Yeah, you got Ricky Collins. You got Colin Hurley. You got guys, but they're just not guys right now. They're not guys that you'd feel confident putting in and having them get to a 10, 11-win season. The entire energy and vibe around that whole team would just change with an injury to that position. It's not as deep as a running back spot. I could say the same for cornerback. If an Ashton Stamps went down, or even a P.J. Woodland, as young and as a lot of people might think green as he is, he's one of the more important pieces to this defense, because P.J. Woodland's growth, honestly, P.J. and Deshaun Spears' growth are going to be 2 of the biggest and best things to happen to this defense all season long. You can more than likely count on Deshaun to start at safety by the end of the year, and I can really say the same thing for P.J. Woodland. This cornerback pairing with Ashton and P.J. could be one of your best pairings you've had in recent memory, and I just don't think you've got much more depth to scratch after that. Yeah, you got J.K., Zai, Toviano, but they're all a little bit more improving, a little bit more inconsistent. I like the pairing of P.J. and Ashton. I wonder how long that's going to be able to stay together. I feel like by the end of the year, you're really going to see it, and that's kind of what they're pushing towards, but we'll keep monitoring that one. Another position group that you have to have healthy is defensive tackle, because you really don't have that many pieces to risk. You got the Jacobian Guillory, you got Gio Piez, and then Javier Suggs, and after that, you're really just throwing in some type of wishful thinking type players. Your edge is deep, and your edge is quite frankly fantastic. You got Savion Jones, you got Swinson, you got Womack, you got a lot of guys that you could really count on in that position group. But the interior D linemen, you're really on thin ice, and you've got to hope that whoever you got in there starting stays healthy all season long. Those are your top 3 position groups that we cannot risk to see the injury report add someone to, because the injury report's been getting extensive. It's been getting long. I mean, Garrett Dellinger with the concussion. You got now an offensive lineman. You got 2 wide receivers and Kyle Parker and Chris Hilton. You got 2 safeties that are kind of banged up a little bit, Jar Gilbert and Jordan Allen. Princeton Malbrew got banged up. John Emery got banged up. You're missing some guys, and we're only 1 game into the season. So you're seeing people change positions. You're seeing a lot of things kind of happen, and you really just want them to pump the brakes and make it a little easier. Just ease up a little bit, because it's far too early to be adding these many names to it. Hopefully LSU can get some better luck with the injury bug. But my LSU and Nicholls preview, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think LSU wipes the floor with them. I think it's going to be a minimum of a 4 possession win. I could think, around 28-point spread. 50, 49.5, whatever it's at, is outrageous. I would never touch it. Like I said, I don't even think I'd put a damn Nicholls plus 60 on it, because I could see a 60 ball getting dropped. It's one of those things you're going to step back from. Money line, obviously one of those things you step back from. The really only good bet that you can have here in this game is the over. It's at 58. It's extensive, yeah. I feel like that's your only bet. If you have to take something, that would be the best thing for you. I really would advise to stay away from this game. You got 3 other games that you could look at here. Let's move into our final segment, our top 3 games of the week. You got Texas taking on Michigan in Michigan. It's early in the year. Michigan might not be gelled into that, mid-season form or even postseason form at this point. Yeah, they won the national championship. Yeah, they're the defending champs, right? A lot of people really would be confused on why we're writing them off. Well, I don't think Texas is a walk in the park. Quinn Ewers obviously has been getting a lot of hype build up around him, and we can debate for hours and hours on who the number 1 prospect is in the quarterback room. And I really wouldn't say it's Quinn. I would honestly say it could potentially be Carson Beck, Cam Ward, people of that nature, right? But with this Quinn Ewers situation, he gets one of his toughest tests. Not only is he playing a team that is, quite frankly, elite, but he's playing in one of the best environments in college football. He's playing in the big house, and it's going to be one of those matchups where if Texas wins, they're going to grab hold of college football, quite frankly, at least the SEC. They're going to look like the cutthroat powerhouse. They're going to look like the standout favorite, if you will. The spread's at 7. I think that's a little deep. I wouldn't take a Texas -7, but I would take a Texas money line. I think there's too much at stake right now for Hook'em Horns, and I'm not the biggest Hook'em Horns guy, obviously. I mean, I think Texas sometimes is in over their head on some things. I think fans of Texas are sometimes kind of, interesting, but hey, we can't say anything. LSU's in a world of their own with that. So I feel like I'm going to have to give them a little bit of respect here. I think it's a tough matchup. Might be one of their toughest games of the year, but I think Texas can pull it out. Tomorrow, I'll talk to G Sports about this. I'm sure he's not going to be happy to hear that one, but I think Texas can get away with this one. It might be a close game. I'm not taking 7, but I'll go Texas money line. We're risking that top 3 game of the week streak. We're 3 for 3 right now on this. So all these picks right here, I had to think long, think hard, make sure I didn't get the wrong pick out there. Next game, Tennessee, NC State. Now this is where it gets a little more interesting. You get Tennessee on the road against a top 25 team. I believe they're 24, and Tennessee's around that 15-14 rank. Well, I could see Tennessee winning this one straight up. I'm not going to touch the spread again. I think that Nico, I believe it's a Milev is his last name. Either way, Nico, the quarterback for Tennessee, he's going to be one of the guys that you're really going to get to see what he's made out of in games like this early on in the year. Is he going to be able to take that torch from, Hendon Hooker, Joe Milton? They had a lot of, recent good quarterback play, and Josh Heupel's kind of pushing Tennessee to the forefront of SEC football. They had a little bit of a dip last season, but this is the year that they're expecting to pick it up. I mean, if you talk to anybody around that building and you listen to them at SEC Media Days, they had nothing but good things to say. I mean, Nico wasn't there. They didn't bring their quarterback there, but they praised him a lot. And a lot of people are wondering, well, why isn't Josh Heupel bringing Nico? Is he not trusting him? Is it this? Is it that? He said it was just the amount of experience that they had on their team. They had other guys that, were step up into that position. A lot of guys who have been there for a while, paid their dues, this, that, the other. It was a little bit of a talking point this summer, but I wouldn't think anything of it. I think that, not only do they have a lot of trust in Nico, but they probably can expect a lot from him as well. He's a pretty talented guy. I think NC State's not going to be able to contain him. So I'm going to go Tennessee money line on this one. And then last but not least, it was tough to pick a third game here. This week's slate's a little interesting. You got a lot of people maybe not playing easy games. I won't say that, but there wasn't many big-time implication games like those last 2, especially like a UT Michigan. But either way, we found Tulane playing Kansas State. Here's where this one gets interesting. I know our guy Garland Gillen will be so thrilled and hyped to hear this one, but